Welcome to yet another video. In this fourth episode of the story, we watch the Hokage and Anbu commander observe Naruto's shadow clone display that night, as the commander guilt-trips the Hokage into handing the newly graduated ninja over to his forces. What does it mean for Naruto to become Team Ro's fourth member, and how will this shift the plot of Naruto? Will this new alliance bring him closer to his goals, or will it pull him deeper into darkness? Please support us by liking and subscribing. Let's get started now. Naruto chuckled at Kiba's cries and Akamaru's yelps. Kuranai gave him a look. I don't appreciate you laughing at my student, Naruto. They didn't get the full amount of time, and is setting your beasts against them really fair? Hey, first they're cat summons, and second we're ninjas. Since when is fair a part of our lifestyle? I haven't had more than 2 days off since I became a shinobi. Every day I'm supposed to be off for medical or mission leave, Dragon-sama, Guy-sensei, or senpai has something for me to do, be it training or a favor. Yesterday I got home and was told by Kakashi-senpai I needed to take over today. So please, just can it, Kuranai-senpai, I'm really just too tired to give a damn. And in a huff Naruto deftly stored his seals and stalked off to observe his former classmates be taken out by an undersized panther, a silent tiger, and lots of traps. Perhaps my youthful neighbor has dried up his youth from overwork, Guy said in an usually serious voice once Naruto's lithe form disappeared into the canopy, his chakra signature becoming almost non-existent to anyone below a jonin. Asuma sighed while Kuranai winced. I didn't know he was that busy. Then again, he's hardly in the village proper anymore. The civilians and lower Chunin had begun to wonder if he was even around anymore, and none of them know he graduated. Yeah, Pops and the higher-ups are treating everything about the kid as some kind of top secret. Not even my youthful protege knows he is a ninja. On the days Lee is with us Naruto is in his hip and cool-off-duty clothes. Oh, curse you Kakashi for taking away his most youthful orange. I heard that was the Anbu actually, Asuma pointed out, to which Guy ignored. With the test takers the genin weren't even 20 feet in and already 10 out of the 12 had experienced various traps or were caught under one of the cats. The exceptions were Sai who had narrowly missed an elaborate kunai and wire course and Shino, whose bugs were acting as his defense. Arg, who made Naruto pissed off. Sakura moaned as she was caught in the third paint bomb. Naruto was never this vindictive unless someone hurt him first. Sasuke snorted and used his Sharingan to deflect some shuriken. Neji cried in frustration. My eyes can see destiny, why can't they pick up where these childish pranks are hiding? Hinata was quietly wondering why hers weren't helping either, and Shikamaru dropped into his thinking pose. He, a heavy mist rolled through the forest laden with chakra and a disembodied voice rang out. You all wonder why the dead last is able to outsmart you? News flash, I have always been able to outprank Anbu and the village, heck, I could outrun most of them before I was 11. Neji, I am friends with Hikaru, and his eyes are stronger than yours, nonsense. Neji claimed. His were the strongest since his father's. That disgrace focuses on inferior techniques to the Byakugan. His eyes have already been surpassed by even Hanabi, Tsk, no. Yours and Hanabi's eyes have the potential to surpass Hikaru's, but you are just a new genin and Hikaru is a jonin at 15. That, and he doesn't rely on his eyes to fight, they are just a tool like every other kunai or exploding tag. Naruto was slinking through the trees in a taunting manner as he ripped into his friend's little cousin's pride. Hikaru rarely discussed his clan, but he had a special place in his heart for Neji, well, more of a desire to beat the fate out of him as the boy bought into the clan's whispers that his eyes were already at the pinnacle and that Hikaru was a failure for having an even skill set. Naruto set this part of the test just for him, and Akira joined him in sniggering at the genin's misfortune from her perch nearby. Now start working together, I'll be watching. The mist pulled away slowly and Sakura cleared her throat. Alright everyone. We have about 5 hours left to make it through the forest of traps, grab Angel, and bring her back to the clearing, all while staying away from Akira and Hisoka. Naruto taught Sasuke basic traps and Sai the more advanced ones, so they'll each be in charge of a subgroup. Shikamaru, who should be on what team and what should our formations be? Sakura asked, and the group stared in shock as someone willingly split up the leadership. As Shikamaru prepared to speak, Neji spoke up. It is unwise for a civilian ninja like you to take charge, as you also have no real skills or experience, especially as my failure of a cousin taught you. I'll decide the teams, and Sasuke, who had stood next to him, backed off and Sakura's fist shot Neji back. She cracked her knuckles. Don't insult Hikaru-sensei, and Naruto put me in charge. So shut up. The genin were wide-eyed and many could have sworn a camera click went off from above. Sakura turned a sweet smile back to Shikamaru. Continue, please. Troublesome, woman. Fine, here's how we'll do this. As the genin planned and set off, Naruto was enjoying the pictures he captured. Hikaru would garner no small amount of amusement from the snapshot of Neji being blown away by the Pinkette's fist. Good job, Sakura, he complimented quietly as she delegated each task perfectly, much like a true leader. 15 minutes later, after Akira had once again swept in for a visit to the genin, the feline appeared next to Naruto's new perch as he worked on the seal. Naruto, can I hang out with Angel? This is boring, she asked. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Boring? You love this kind of thing. I saw how you turned Kiba's jacked into ribbons and clawed, I love felines into his front. The panther puffed out her cheeks. Yeah, but they're too easy. Hisoka is keeping them busy anyways, so please? She turned the kitten eyes on him, and the blonde couldn't resist. Fine, but don't do anything stupid. And don't let the genin capture Angel, it'd be a blow to our pride. Akira grinned and left, Naruto deciding to do the same and headed off back to the clearing to at least keep some semblance of a working relationship with the Jonin sensei. 30 minutes before sunset, with Angel and Akira, just remember to always fill the mouth with chakra too and you'll be fine, Angel advised from her perch that Naruto left her on. The Hellcat had spent the afternoon napping and working on the false surroundings genjutsu, when Akira appeared asking for a favor. The panther grinned wickedly before darting off through the shadows, and Angel idly wondered if Naruto would forgive her for this. He'll probably find it hilarious. She decided and sat back down for another nap. Sakura and Ino were in the leading group, along with Shino and Neji, who could see the traps once the various layers of chakra and blocking seals were disabled by Sakura and Ino every few feet. They were almost at the spot where Naruto's cat would be and Sakura was ready to be done and go home, if only so she wouldn't have to listen to the constant infighting. By now they had barely 15 minutes, if that, before sunset. Akira dropped in front of the group, causing them to go into the defensive. The genin had managed to injure Hisoka with a grazing, making him poof, but the panther hadn't shown herself. Ha ha ha. Taste this, humans, Akira's voice cackled and a stream of fire exploded from her mouth, hitting Ino's hair. Eep! The blonde girl screamed as the ends of her hair went up in flames. Sakura, not wasting time, cut the burning tendrils off before it reached the scalp and pulled her friend away. Shikamaru's group, capture her before she burns down the whole forest. Sakura ordered and Shikamaru, Sasuke, and Hinata move in, surrounding the feline. Shino sends a wave of bugs as well. Akira lets loose another round of flames, burning the bugs and singing Hinata's jacket. All around the group the forest burned. Sasuke fired off a fireball to counter Akira's and Sakura resisted to urge to rub her temples as she and Shikamaru attempted to come up with a plan. None of them knew much, if any, elemental ninjutsu, and no water ninjutsu at all. Kiba and Akamaru did a getsuga into a tree, releasing a torrent of wire, entrapping them and Sai, who was near. Ino was still fussing over her locks and Choji used a human boulder into Shikamaru. Water style, water wall, was heard and Naruto commanded a torrent of water from a scroll, soaking everything and everyone and effectively putting out the fire. He glared down at the group, though mainly Akira. This test is over, meet me in the clearing. He used a shunshin and was gone, much to the genin's chagrin. Naruto had all 12 in front of him, sitting soaked on the ground and looking between sheepish to enraged. He snorted as Kiba gave Akira on his shoulder death glares, and bopped the feline as she hissed back. The Jonin were hidden nearby to listen in. I am very disappointed, he began. Protests began, but an icy glare they had never seen before silenced them. Again, disappointed. Academy students would do better than you guys. Yes, Akira should have had the foresight to not use fire ninjutsu in a forest, but so should you, Sasuke. Not only did you 12 fail, but your pace was slow, something that will get you killed in the field. Oh, yeah, loser. You didn't even graduate, what do you know? Naruto's eye twitched. Oh, screw it. Sakura, Sasuke, Sai. All three stood at attention as Hikaru and Kakashi to an extent taught them. Tell me, what rank am I? Chunin, Senpai, the three answered immediately and Naruto had them sit down. Naruto nodded and took out his vest and headband. Good, yes. I am a Chunin, it was a field promotion. Now, on to other matters, how did you get promoted? Village secret, Naruto cut Ino off immediately. You have to learn when to use jutsu, and how to move silently. I watched you all for hours in between bugging your sensei, and you all talked too much, moved too loudly, and misused jutsu throughout the entire test. A cramped space is not the place to try a human boulder or getsuga. Your sensei will have their own reports now. Oh, and if any of you talk about my status you'll be charged with insubordination and receive a black mark, Naruto added as he left, pointedly looking at Ino. She gulped but nodded and the off-duty Anbu left the genin to speculate amongst themselves. Well, I didn't expect him to tell them his status, Asuma whispered from his perch. Guy looked thoughtful while Kuranai looked a bit miffed. Still, Naruto didn't have to be so rough on them, they aren't trained to the degree he was, and that's not my fault, Naruto's amused voice added as he walked up with Angel, Akira having left for home already. It's better for them to learn here in the village than die in the field. That's what I was taught. Besides, they did okay, just their ego needs work. Though I'm surprised, you have Anbu helping your team Kuranai-senpai. See you three at the poker game tomorrow, Naruto waved as he walked off, no doubt to get some rest, leaving a now thoughtful group of jonin in his wake. Hey, Naruto? Yes, Angel? Naruto answered while buying some takeout ramen for Yakumo and him. He didn't have a mission tomorrow, just training at 10 with the Hokage, so Naruto planned to visit his new friend. Why were you so mean-sounding back there? Akira even said you told them to be harsher and those traps were higher than they'd see in the Chunin exams. Sigh. It's just I was bullied by most of the genin back in the academy, and the rest ignored me. It was a form of payback. As for the jonin, well, I don't think they'll underestimate me now, he smirked. Angel purred. Yeah, I don't think so either. Are you mad though? About me showing Akira a fire jutsu? He snorted. Hell no, that was hilarious, especially when it hit Ino's hair. Ha. Though I will need to talk to her about restraint. My water ninjutsu is coming along, Naruto added and began telling his partner about his success, the two jutsu that were beginning to not drain him completely. Yakumo stared down at her bowl curiously as Naruto and Angel consumed theirs with gusto. She tried to take a peek while Naruto ate, but the Anbu was sly and she never managed. Huh? Not hungry? Naruto asked with a hint of worry as Yakumo was already too skinny. Go on, it's good. He reassured her. Yakumo hesitated before taking a small bite, unable to hide how much she liked it as she grinned. She sensed Naruto being smug and huffed. It's all right, she gave in. Thanks, Mouse. No problem, he responded and got another bowl as they watched the stars start to rise. With Kakashi's group, Kakashi's earth wall was shattered by a now version 2 Han. Tenzo's vines ensnared the Jinchuriki twice now, but the amount of chakra to hold down that many tails was frightening. Kakashi prepared his Sharingan as Tenzo again prepared his jutsu. However, Han refused to meet Kakashi's gaze for the genjutsu to set in. This assassination would have been easy, if not for the fact Han was being accompanied by a Jonin, one dragon was currently facing. Dragon stared at his opponent, a Jonin Kunoichi who licked her lips menacingly. Earth style, earth and stone dragon. She called and the ground rose to resemble a massive dragon. Dragon repressed an eye roll at her power display. I can't mess around, Kakashi and Tenzo are having trouble, Han is better than we thought. I'll have to use it. For both of them. The commander, mind made up, used 3 successive Shunshins to first dodge the dragon and then get into her defense. The IWA Jonin blocked his sword with her own, and she looked into the Anbu's eyes. Big mistake. Sharingan, the IWA Nin gasped. In one eye, a glowing red and spinning orb met her gaze, spinning. Night, night, he said, as she fell into trance. A slice later and she was dead. Turning his head towards the exploding demonic chakra, Dragon grimaced. I hope Hiruzen forgives me, he muttered and left to save his comrades, both of whom were wearing down. The blonde Anbu made it home in time to see Hikaru walk from the bathroom to the bedroom on his hands, singing about the new Anbu in Gamma Squad. Angel blinked, Naruto face-palmed, and both just quietly collapsed on the couch, vowing to never speak of the incident again. Naruto shot up half an hour later when Kurama's voice rang in his head. It had been a while since the fox had called him anything resembling a non-insult. Yes, Kurama? It's nothing. Just go to sleep. Kurama grumbled after a minute. Naruto sighed at his sort of friend's attitude. No. You've been like this since I failed to use 4 tails, Kurama. What is with you? Go to the forest of death and enter your mindscape. We'll talk there. Confused, Naruto replaces himself with a shadow clone, letting Angel sleep on the fake stomach and silently put on his shoes. With a look back towards his bedroom door, the blonde quietly leaves for a place he dreaded. With Dragon hours earlier, the commander of Anbu had to be the best in the forces. He had to be on par with Hokage, be able to keep a cool head in the most dire of situations, and have the ability to step in if the Hokage died in battle. Dragon had all those things, and still found it difficult to face his underlings, both of whom were technically older than him. We'll discuss this later. For now, Kakashi prepare the lighting ninjutsu and Tiger try to keep him boxed in with your Mokyuden. No, go. Dragon ordered and activated his cursed eye. Han stared impassively at his attackers, clearly Konoha, but inside both he and Kokuo were nervous. So far he could pick apart the 2 shinobi, but this new one, be careful, that one has the Mangekyo. He's dangerous, we should retreat. Kokuo was advising frantically. Han would heed that advice, if only it wasn't impossible with this empty terrain. Perfect for his boil release as targets couldn't hide. It was also perfect for his new opponent as well, it seemed. Only crossing his arms in an X stopped a Shunshin to the throat. After images filled the space around him, making the Jinchuriki have to dodge both a Shunshin master and wooden spikes. Lightning style, electromagnetic murder. Kakashi pushed his chakra into Han, managing to puncture the mechanism for his steam. Shit, Han cursed and did a spiral spin to avoid multiple wooden spikes. Contrary to popular belief, Han was very flexible, and was able to get inside his opponent's openings. With 2 hand signs, a stream of steam shoots out of his hands at the Mokyuden user. Only for it to catch fire as a wood clone. Ducking, he avoids a cartwheel kick and grabs the dragon-masked one's leg and crushes down hard. The man just hisses and another lighting jutsu impales the other side of his armor, this time paralyzing Han for a moment. For tales of his version 1, cloak erupt again after disappearing when he believed the fight to be over, before the fast one joined in and he was regretting it now. Still swinging his capture around, Han caught Kakashi in his range. Erupting strong foot, using the last of his boiling steam, Han rockets the copy ninja away towards Tenzo, and only survived as his Sharingan allowed him to see the attack in time to block the brunt of it aimed at his chest. Needless to say, Kakashi would be hurting in the morning. Wood style, smothering binding technique, Tenzo wheezed, a bit out of chakra. His reserves were never anything special and today was taxing them. Wooden vines captured Han, immobilizing and draining the demonic chakra. Han was already pushing through it, though he dropped Dragon and the man used a Shunshin to land next to Tenzo. Chidori, Kakashi said as he, Susanoo, Tsukomo, an inhuman-looking chakra image of a warrior-like creature rises above Dragon. Its ribcage opens and several chakra spikes shoot forward, impaling Han and the land around the Jinchuriki before dissipating once Dragon drops the technique and clutches the eye. Han lay dead, the demonic chakra already spreading everywhere. Ugh, it's been too long since I used that. Dragon groaned. His subordinates dropped to the ground as well, Kakashi and Tenzo both sporting burns and cracked ribs, Dragon himself having a possibly fractured leg. His Shunshin was useful, but it left the user open for a counter-strike. It's how he lost his first eye all those years ago. He wraps the leg up after some medical ninjutsu, deeming it able to last till they got back. Dragon-sama, how, Tenzo tried but Dragon stopped him. Once we're safe at home. That chakra will be felt by reinforcements and they'll be here within several hours. For now, make your wood go away, Kakashi. Add some more lighting marks while I position the bodies and hide our trail. Rain started puttering due to it being the wet season, a small blessing as it would aid in masking their scents. Yes sir, they both said, though neither could look at him. The things he did for Konoha back in Konoha, present, and we made it where IWA will suspect Kumo, just as you ordered, Hokage-sama. Dragon finished his report, him and the others sitting down, the Hokage looking older than ever. They were in the Black Ops room, the place where missions that didn't exist were handed out. Dragon had been here many times, the worst still when he was given that mission. Thank you, Dragon. While it pains me to possibly start a war between the two villages, Konoha wouldn't have survived had they sent Han and Rashi. At least now we stand a solid chance. Of course, Hokage-sama, Dragon bowed his head. Kakashi and Tenzo, who was unmasked, had blank looks. We have around 5 years give or take before the Gobi manifests again, at which IWA will scramble to reseal it. Until then only Kumo has two, putting us at an advantage as we hold the Kyubi, though I hate thinking of Naruto that way. Mouse knows his duty, and he's happy. He just has a chakra battery of sorts, one that will help both him and Konoha in the long run. Sarutobi assents and sighs. Now, I think you need a few minutes alone with your team. This room is secure, I'll be taking a stroll. You have authorization to tell them what you wish, even the whole truth. The weight of that statement hit the commander as his leader stood up and walked away. Soon they were left alone. The three powerful shinobi, one S-rank and the other two A-ranked, sat in silence. Finally, Kakashi spoke. Why? Why did you let us think you were dead, Shursui? For the first time in years, Dragon took off his mask outside of his sealed room. The face of Shursui Uchiha, thought to everyone but his Hokage to be dead, until now, that is, stared with one eye at his old comrades and friends. It shard to explain. Try us, Kakashi quipped. He had been on the same squad as Shursui for a short time before the younger man became a one-man team for a special assignment for the Hokage. Kakashi and Tenzo had both tried to keep in contact with their friend, but he drifted apart, eyes becoming more worried. And then he committed suicide, though many blamed Itachi. It was another failure on Kakashi's part, even if the rational side assured him he had no way of knowing what was happening. And now Shursui sat in front of him once again, not dead, but instead a different person, as the commander, a more serious but still joking individual. It was too much. Kakashi had to know why. Fine, just, sit back and don't interrupt, okay? The two nodded slowly. Taking a deep breath, Shisui spoke, taking Sarutobi's advice and getting the weight off of him. It all began when Danzo Shimura set his eyes on the Sharingan. After Naruto's birth, he did everything to sow discord among the clan for his own desires. My cousin, Itachi, was caught in the middle. The most loyal shinobi I know, Itachi tried his hardest to stop it, but Danzo and another party didn't want the Uchiha stopped, they wanted them dead. On and on Shisui spun the tale of the Uchiha's tragic demise, too enraptured shinobi his audience. With Naruto sat in a tree house his captain had made for the squad during their training last month. Getting into the lotus position, he dove deep into his mind. Waking up in the sewer like Seal was never a fun moment. Naruto blinked quickly but struck off towards Kurama. Kurama held his breath as his container approached. He wasn't sure if he should be hopeful or spiteful. Hope that this weird child that was a certain type of genius with a silly side was the one? Or be spiteful in the knowledge that he was like every other human since father? Kurama didn't know. Naruto ambled in and smiled slightly at Kurama, not realizing before then how much he had grown to begrudgingly care for the fox in his head. Hey, Kurama. What's the deal dragging me out here? You're here to meet me. A voice very much like Naruto's own yet dripping with malice spoke. From the shadows a clone of Naruto, though with black holes for eyes, walks out, a cruel smirk under his mask. You're not a shadow clone, Naruto deduced. Yet you look like me, minus the eyes. Who are you? Why, I'm you. Or, the real you, that is, the clone mocked, walking around Naruto like a predator. Kurama watched silently from the shadows of his cage. The creature in front represented the deep darkness in his container's heart, the rage that Kurama could gather up. If Naruto couldn't beat it, he'd be taken over, and Kurama would be released. The fox didn't know if he wanted that. Before meeting and talking with Naruto, he'd have done anything to escape, but now? Now, he wasn't sure that having a human that was approaching friendship status dying was what he wanted. Not even for freedom. As he observed, Kurama just sighed and realized either way things were changing. I'm the darkness, the rage you want to unleash. I'm what the villagers created. I'm the killer in you. Give in, we'll become powerful with me in charge. Dark Naruto, as the original began thinking of him as, said while pointing to himself. No. I won't let you take over, things are different now. I have friends, comrades. The two clashed, Dark Naruto aiming for vital points, Naruto doing the same. Punch for punch they match, blocking everything the other throws, any cuts disappearing as it was in the mindscape. The village is better now, my squad, my family, is enough. The shinobi sector accepts me. They break apart and glare, both realizing a battle of strength would do nothing. So, words were the ammo now. Yet you can't walk around the village except in your Anbu gear without jeers and fearful looks. Dark Naruto countered. Naruto shook his head. They'll change, and I don't need them. The Anbu and Jonin see us as a weapon. We remind everyone of father or their pain. Not even our godfather wanted Yusuyu still refused to see the truth. Remember this? A scene in the water played out. It was of Naruto, barely an age to read, yet kicked out of the orphanage. An Anbu, Kakashi he realized, watched impassively from the tree nearby, simply signaling for the Hokage to be called, never comforting Naruto as he sat on a swing in the dying light. The Hokage had sighed when he arrived soon after, and had let Naruto sleep in his office that night. The council had decided to put him in an apartment after that, and Naruto had always been alone. That was years ago. It's in the past. His protests died when another scene appeared. This time a 10-year-old Naruto had cried to his Gigi that his papers were being graded wrong, but the Hokage just brushed him off with a "Don't accuse our Chunin of such things without real proof. Keep working hard, Naruto, and I'm sure you'll pass soon." Naruto had gone on a pranking spree after that, no one bothering to notice how cunning they were or how far he'd grown. Multiple other memories appeared, each painful in their own way. Being glared at when he failed, the jeers barely whispered. Walking into his apartment vandalized again on his birthday while he was at school. No violent acts, but still to have his books torn and food kicked around a bit was disheartening. He'd never pressed charges, even the times they caught the ones responsible, as he wanted them to accept him and be Hokage. Now do you see? They need to pay. With Kurama's help we could rampage, make them fear us, make them respect us. No, Naruto said, after looking at another memory, this time of one of his lonely camping trips into the forest while eating fish. He met his dark half's gaze. I will protect the village. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Not everyone hates me. A lot of others are growing to like me, actually. I have comrades, a best friend even if he is an idiot and calls me a stupid nickname. Our dreams died because of the village. Dark Naruto pointed out. Naruto snorted. No, they changed. Why be Hokage stuck with paperwork when you can be a shinobi who protects their village on the field instead? I can be a Jonin sensei one day, an ANBU captain. Heck, if Dragon-sama ever retires, he's ageless, I swear, then I could be the commander. Naruto rambled on, and Dark Naruto growled. So you'll leave me behind? Here to rot while you make us the village's attack dog? What's the point? I'm useless. Naruto smiled a bit. No, you're not. Both Kurama and Dark Naruto shot him looks. You're the one that kept me alive, that made killing for the village doable. You made me know us, balanced. For there can't be light without darkness, or good without bad. No one is all good, not even the sage. We just need to get along. Naruto said, remembering the lesson on yin and yang that the Hokage taught him. The past is the past, it's a part of who we are. But let's not let the past shadow the future, okay? He held out a hand, pulling down his mask and smiling a genuine smile. Dark Naruto gazes at the hand like it could be a trick, but hesitantly takes it. After a minute he too copies and pulls down his mask for a smile. Two whiskered blondes stare at one another, even as Dark Naruto's eyes become blue and he fades. Thank you were his last words, before Naruto had a feeling of completeness, a feeling he didn't realize he'd missed before now. Kurama's mouth was slightly agape. His container merged with his darkness, beating it not by force but by acceptance. Strangely, Kurama couldn't help but be impressed with the display. Hey, Kurama. His human friend, Kurama decided, said. Yes, Naruto could be a friend, even if his methods were delusional. Liked the show, I hope, my friend? Humph. As if you could be my friend. Get out of here, Gaki, your presence annoys me. Kurama snorted, insulting Naruto, hiding the hopeful glint by the shadows. Bah. One day you'll see the truth, you like me. Just you wait. Whatever Naruto. Neither understood that night under the crescent moon in the vicious forest, the buddings of the most powerful partnership was born. Even if it was in its infancy and dominated by insults. Some relationships were just like that. Unknown to Naruto, his captain and big brother/senpai were on their own emotional roller coaster. With Dragon no Shursui, they reminded themselves, looked hopeful after telling the first two people after the Hokage everything. So you were supposed to make Fugaku stop the coup with your Sharingan. Yes. And then Danzo stole one eye, so you went to the Hokage and instead of killing the bastard right there he had you fake your death by putting Itachi in a genjutsu and giving him your other eye, which was really your mother's who had died years ago. The coup happens, and now Itachi is a double agent for the village in an organization that wants to rip the Kyuubi out of Sensei's son. Yes. At the time we didn't know about the second man pulling the strings, or that Danzo helped organize the coup by manipulation. His plan was to use my eye to get Naruto under his control as Hiruzen would think it's his own choice. He succeeded too, but I reversed it, making Danzo freak out thinking the eye only worked as a pair. He went underground, keeping Root close. Hiruzen refused to believe his friend went that low, so I had to gather sufficient evidence, in his words, before I can kill him and take my eye back. Technically I could kill him now, but Root has to be eradicated with its shinobi either joining or dying. Root was supposed to be controlled by the Hokage, but Danzo has kept most of them as his private army, doing dirty work that has actually harmed the village, not helped it. The plan now is to take him and his lackeys out right after the exams, letting the chaos of Orochimaru and Suna's plans be a mask for what amounts to mass murder. If some escape the initial cleansing, we can tell the public they're Suna spies instead of kidnapped and brainwashed members of clans. Out of the 300 Root agents, estimates from our mole inside is that only 100, the children, will be salvageable. An inside agent? Tenzo asked with a raised eyebrow. His time in Root showed that usually moles were quickly turned or eradicated. Yes, the agent used to follow Danzo blindly, but they've since started to question his methods after being on a long-term assignment in the village. They sought the Hokage and I out a while ago, letting us put a tracking seal on him and an aburame bug to gather intel. Because of them we're ready. Good, let's take the creep out, Kakashi states. Shursui blinked. Oh hell no. You two were told just to keep you quiet and that I wanted to let two of my old friends know the truth. You guys can just keep things running while the Hokage and I do this. Nope, sorry, Dragon-sama, Kakashi replied with an eye smile and sickly sweet tone, but according to you he tried to take Naruto and make him his own personal pet, and he already attempted the same thing on Tenzo here. We can be of help. Senpai is correct, let us help. We are comrades and friends. Tenzo added. Shursui smiled at them. Alright already, he held his hands up in surrender. You win, I'll write you up in my strategy. Now, here he puts on his mask again and slightly shifts into dragon once more, even if they were basically the same. Let's go get some medical attention before I go break Mouse's defenses again, he rubbed his hands together gleefully. Kakashi and Tenzo sweat dropped. Dragon-sama? Why do you keep breaking down Naruto's seals and replacing his food every night? Tenzo asked. Dragon tapped where his chin would be. Well it's a good mental workout for me, disabling his traps and seals. That, and it makes Mouse keep improving security while also keeping him dedicated to Guy's training. That, and it's fun, he added as they walked, or in Dragon's case tried to not limp, over to the medical section where Mednin would be waiting. An hour later the three made it to the apartments, Kakashi and Tenzo deciding to help in the mischief. They see Naruto casually walk into his door. Tenzo frowned. He's not supposed to be up this late. Oh, someone is having corner duty during our next Hokage shift, Tenzo muttered. Kakashi snorts. Tenzo, calm down, you're his captain, not mother. Naruto is a ninja and if he wants to stay out until 3 a.m. in the morning that's his problem. Tenzo gaped at him while Dragon chuckled. I have to agree he shouldn't be punished, as tomorrow is just a training day not a mission. Also, I find the best punishment would be letting Guy help aid his flames of youth earlier than normal, any? Two devilish smirks met his hidden one. Dragon knocked on Guy's door, and the green beast answered with a blinding grin. Greetings, Guy. Mouse was so heartbroken that you left him behind yesterday and I think taking him early would cheer him up. Him and his temporary roommate just love early morning workouts. Dragon said cheerfully. Guy rambled on about youth before zipping by with the training gear, already in Naruto's apartment, Kakashi and Tenzo having already gotten it untrapped for him. No, were the dual cries as Naruto and Hikaru were manhandled for their special training. How did you know Naruto missed training yesterday? Tenzo asked idly once they left. Dragon turned towards him. I'm the commander, I know everything, and when I'm not here, my crow is he added silently. Right, sure. When Naruto later limped into his ninjutsu lessons with Jiraiya, who had returned and planned on showing his godson the five-pronged seal and another Earth-style move, he was twitching, with bags under his eyes. Youth! Youth! Damn youth! I will get my revenge! The boy cackled madly, making Jiraiya wonder if the fox was taking over. In the seal Kurama had his ears covered, not wanting to hear that cursed word again. Meanwhile, a disheveled Hikaru arrived for Team 7's training, in a similar state as his younger friend. IWA, later Inoki raged against his desk. Kyumo, their supposed allies, had killed one of their Jinchuriki, meaning they would be down to only one for 4 to 6 years before it reformed. Bastards, Inoki muttered. The evidence pointed to Kyumo and that some of them got away, but it would be stupid to go to war now, before they could prepare. Inoki turned towards his trembling assistant. Send word to Orochimaru, we won't be helping in his invasion for personal matters. Call Rashi back, he's to be confined to the village. I won't have another of our Jinchuriki dead. Gaki. I said make the earth a swamp, not a sand pit. Jiraiya scolded as Naruto attempted Swamp of the Underworld for the 16th time with minimal success. Gah, I can't. It's impossible when you harden the earth with your chakra while I'm softening it with mine. Naruto accused. Call it training for all situations. If you can learn to overpower my chakra and create the swamp, the jutsu will be unstoppable. Jiraiya smirked at the blonde's scowl but had to dodge several water jutsu, including a well-executed water dragon. What the hell, Gaki? Are you trying to kill me? The sage demanded, pulling a kunai that was hidden in the dragon out of his scroll. Who, me? I was just showing my mentor how much I've improved on my water ninjutsu, Naruto replied innocently, 2 scrolls that held water empty. Sure, Gaki, sure. I think we've done enough. I think it's time for a spar for me to see your progress then. He said heavily. Naruto gulped in reply. Evening Akira and Angel were both on Naruto's shoulders, who was wearing his Chunin outfit. He sighed as Akira vibrated with excitement. Just blow anything up or set something on fire, please. Naruto begged while rubbing a sore shoulder from Jiraiya's toad slamming him into the ground multiple times. While Jiraiya taught him that day, he had a shadow clone show the panther the art of activating explosive tags. Needless to say, Akira became obsessed with the explosions, and the look she got around them was creepily similar to a certain Nukenin currently in the Anbu holding cells. Humph. Fine, but I get to play, right? She asked. Naruto nodded. Yes, you are allowed your own hand. Here's some money, if you run out I'm not giving you any more. She took the small bag of rolled Ryo and coins in her teeth and purred. Most of the off-duty Anbu and more respectable jonin were already in the poker room when the trio arrived. Dragon inclined his head and a blur of fingers sent the message. Rematch. I want Ika. I know Jiraiya gave you a collection signed. And I want Hikaru gone. He clogged the toilet. With water, Naruto signed back. Numerous Anbu sniggered as they caught the exchange. Winner take all. You're going down, mouse. Naruto found some free seats, Akira taking one to the left, opposite of the newly arrived Ibiki Marino. The man looked extremely calm even as the small panther gave a feral grin and dumped her money out, calling to exchange for chips. We'll see. Dragon finished. Hikaru walked in at that moment and plopped down next to Naruto, oblivious about the exchange. Hey, Naruto, Hikaru started with a chuckle. Naruto's eyes snapped to his friend. Yes, Hikaru? You almost never use my name. Well you see I sort of city our spare scrollsen fiery while cooking dinner, Hikaru finished in a rush. The room went silent as the Anbu knew the consequences of messing with their youngest member's Fuinjutsu supplies. A few seconds passed and Angel jumped off to go bug the reading Kakashi, who would bat her away, while she just kept returning. Senpai. Naruto trailed off as the newbies Kotetsu and Izumo talked about arrived looking nervous. Suddenly a gleam in his eyes that scared Hikaru more than if Naruto just yelled appeared and Naruto gave a wicked chuckle. I think I'm going to make a killing tonight. Hey! Come sit over here. Naruto called to the newcomers and those that were sitting across from Naruto moved, eager to see the newbies get cleaned out like they had been once. Petty revenge was good for a stressed-out ninja, after all. Hey, I thought you failed and left the academy? A short, brunette Chunin said as she sat down. Her comrades nodded and Naruto bashful shook his head. No, I passed, but I got stuck with a desk job at the tower, he lied and the Chunin gave sympathetic winces. They were of the younger generation that didn't really care about the Kyuubi, and even if they did no one deserved such a fate. But tonight I got told to join in with the poker game. What about you guys? Same here, I'm Tamaki, these three numbskulls are Idate, Hiroshi, and Gen. None of us are that great at poker, what about you? The older ninja kept blank looks, but had to bite their cheeks when Naruto hung his head. I barely know the rules, and I only have this much with me, he held out the payment worth of a D-rank. The other Chunin gave him sympathetic looks. Hey, don't sweat it. We'll play against each other tonight. Maybe you'll even win something too, Idate assured him while his friends hit eye rolls, believing the blonde would be out within a round or two. Naruto gave a teary-eyed nod. That sounds fun. What's first? Hikaru started dealing, not being allowed to play poker as he had no Ryo on him. Well, first off is to get some chips. Then you Idate's careful instructions continued on, Naruto playing the part perfectly. Many in the room had one thought, never underestimate that bastard again. Meanwhile, Akira was lighting a cigar, facing her opponent. My, not many ninjas wear trench coats, she commented as they were dealt in. Ibiki grunted. And not many felines smoke cigars or play poker, he shot back dryly. Touché. She relented, and glanced up over Ibiki's shoulder, out the window. The top interrogator never noticed the instantaneous exchange. 1 hour later, wow, that was fun. Naruto cheered innocently, while the Chunin twitched, Idate crying in frustration. In front of Naruto was the other Chunin's chips, enough to not only replace Hikaru's accident, but still equivalent of an S rank. How? Tamaki asked as she gaped at the pile. Naruto smiled, a trick he picked up from Kakashi. Oh? Who, me? I guess I'm just lucky, and Idate-senpai taught me really well. Thanks for the game, I can't wait to play again. As the Chunin excused themselves, whispering how they'd have to bunk with one another for a couple of months, they swore to never bet against him again. Enough games, mouse. Wolf. Deal me in. Dragon ordered as he slid into the chair opposite of Naruto. Meanwhile Ibiki had never been so embarrassed in his life. He, a respected A-rank ninja, head interrogator, was loosing to a tiny cat. A talking, cigar-smoking cat, but still, a cat. Worse, Anko was watching with a video camera in the corner. Thankfully, Ibiki Marino knew the mind, and could tell the feline was arrogant. All in? He asked with a blank face. Winner take all, kitty cat? Akira paused for a split second, then felt the okay from her collar she wore for the occasion. 1, I'm a panther, not a kitty. And 2, hell yeah. She pushed all her pile and most of Ibiki's savings, he wept inside, to the middle. Perfect, he thought with a hidden grin. He had a straight flush, and the odds of the cat getting something higher this late in the game was almost impossible. Straight flush. Ibiki boasted and slapped his hand down. Akira looked momentarily saddened, then showed Ibiki her hand one by one. Oh, I think I can match that or surpass it. Royal flush, Ibiki-chan. She taunted, then turned towards the dealer. You, turn this back to Rio and seal it in a scroll for me, K? I have more fish to fry, and she hopped off to find her next victim close by with just a few of the chips in her bag. Soon the summons is in front of the Hokage, who smiled benignly. Why hello, Akira-chan. I see you made some money off of Ibiki. Yes, monkey summoner, now deal me in. I will prove the Tiger Panther clan can beat the monkey clan at anything. She said with conviction. Within moments the game began again. Hisoka was crouched on the roof nearby, binoculars perched on the ledge and looking down at the Hokage's cards. What the hell am I doing? I could be in the milky paradise with beautiful tigresses all around, but no, Akira wants me to cheat for her. How did I end up here? The silent tiger bemoaned inside his mind. Then a shiver ran up his spine as he remembered the exact motivation for being on a stuffy rooftop late at night. His partner could use explosive tags. As Hisoka activated the Morai's code linked to Akira's collar to let her know the Hokage drew an ace, he resigned himself to the reality that his peaceful existence was over the second his summoner had taught Akira how to use the explosives. After the poker game, Naruto carried a sleeping angel home, Akira already having left for home with her winnings. Hikaru walked next to him, huffing. I can't believe you played to make me leave, Chibi Kohai. I thought our relationship was special. Naruto shot him a deadpan look. You bring destruction wherever you go, Hikaru. Not even Anko would put up with you, and her place resembles the Fourth Shinobi War. Besides, I'm not making you go until tomorrow. Dragon-sama should have the cell ready by then. He muttered the last part too low for the Hyuga to hear. Humph, see if I let you stay with me when your apartment gets infested. Ungrateful children, Hikaru grumbled. Naruto chose not to point out that his traps and angel prevented pests, and that even if he did have to leave his home for a time, the dorms at HQ actually allowed him. As they approached their building, Naruto turned. If you weren't my best friend, I'd sick Hibiki-sama's unit on you. Touch my Fuinjutsu again and no mercy will be shown. Understood? Crystal, Hikaru managed. Naruto's summons were now legendary after the spar with Kakashi, and he had no desire to fight them. Entering his place, Naruto brightens as a familiar whiskered face presses against the window. Tora. You haven't been by in a while. Have the genin teams been getting rough? Naruto greeted as he let her in, Angel blearily shaking awake from the commotion. The Hellcat sees her nemesis and hisses. Why does she have to be here? Angel asked incredulously. Naruto rolled his eyes. Angel, we've been over this. I've been watching Tora for years and she's taught you a lot too, be grateful. Tora ignores the hissing and smugly presses up against Naruto's leg, who promptly scratches behind her ears. I still don't understand how you and that demon get along, Chibi Kohai. Tora's the bane of every genin, and to find out you taught her your stealth skills and how to tree/water walk. Hikaru pointed an accusing finger at the blonde. Whatever, senpai. Just go to sleep. Guy-sensei has a mission tomorrow so we can sleep in. Not exactly, a disembodied voice spoke from the darkness and both humans and cats jump, before scowling as Dragon appears. Both of you report to HQ tomorrow at 8. I'll have missions for you both. Oh, and Mouse? He holds out his hand expectantly. Nope. Not until you beat me, Dragon-sama. Would you like me to beat you around the village all night? He asked in a bored tone. A scroll is thrust into his hands faster than a shunshin. I was just joking. Here, the entire collection that Jiraiya-sama gave me last week. All 30-something volumes. Dragon nodded before leaving, in a burst of chakra, his two subordinates letting out breaths they didn't know they were holding. Moments later, Hokage Tower Sarutobi was finishing up some last-minute paperwork, grumbling about that blasted summons trouncing him at poker even with his hidden monkey summons reading off the cards. Dragon shows up without warning and flops down in the chair, watching his leader in amusement. What is it now, Dragon? Here to gloat about that fiend taking my savings? Nah, I would never think that. Not after Mouse continues to clean me out. I swear he passes his luck onto those around him except me. Tonight I lost my food money. I'm sending Mouse on a long-term assignment tomorrow. His fridge is always stocked. Dragon said. Sarutobi's sweat dropped at his commander's complete honesty about stealing from his subordinates. I see then, what is it? Out of underlings to frighten? I hear the Chunin patrols were slacking, you could amuse yourself with them. Sarutobi suggested. I hear Deidara has been approved for the Missing Ninja Integration Program, Dragon said after a moment, referencing Konoha's policy of allowing certain missing ninja into the village and attempt to become loyal Konoha ninja. Generally they would start taking D ranks without chakra with a Jonin escort. However, Dragon was never one for tradition. Yes, I was planning on having Asuma and his team be his watchers before testing him for Chunin in 6 months. He'd fit well among the trackers with his birds. I want him. Dragon said bluntly. Absolutely not. The boy would be a good fit for the ANBU, Dragon continued on without hesitance. He's a genius, much like Itachi and to a lesser extent Mouse, was a captain in Iwa's explosion corps, and he'd be both watched by men and hidden behind the masks to keep IWA unaware for months at least. No. Sarutobi interjected forcefully. Why not? Why, you already have one overpowered blonde in your ranks, learn to share, the aged Hokage managed after sputtering. Another thing. He'd be a great help for Mouse when they fight. Shikaku and Deidara already respects Mouse after he beat him. He screams art is an explosion and hates subtle tactics. Not ANBU material, Dragon, Sarutobi pointed out, only to be waved dismissively. PSSH, that's what you said about Wolf, and look at him now, captain level if needed, within the top 5 in both taijutsu and ninjutsu in ANBU, and his medical jutsu are coming along as well. That may be, but he's, Sarutobi struggled to find the words. Like Hashirama-sama in too many ways, mixed with a touch of the old Naruto and a disturbing amount of Hikaru-ness for my liking. He finished lamely. Bah, Wolf is a special case, but he's professional on missions. True, but, and if I can beat Wolf into submission, I can certainly do the same for Mouse's long-lost brother from another mother. Sarutobi face-palmed. I'm not going to win this, am I? He asked. A shake of the head was his answer. Sigh, fine. Just, what are you going to have him do on his probation, and what mask is the poor boy going to have? Well, mostly he'll be on hospital duty with Wolf, and I'll have them do plenty of endurance training, as like Itachi, Deidara doesn't have as much physical strength. I hope to make him loyal to Konoha quickly, as he already seems to hate IWA for their stifling expectations of him and his past. Without that public pressure to take the king of desk jobs, oh, excuse me, Kageship, Dragon amended at Sarutobi's glare, then he will come to see Konoha as a better alternative. With his information that he's freely given, our spies could feasibly take IWA out, or at least get a better reading on them. And as for his mask, Dragon reached into his cloak and pulled out a porcelain face mask that had Sarutobi stifling a laugh. I'm not sure embarrassment is the best way to keep him loyal, HN, what are you talking about? It's a great mask, I designed it myself, Dragon huffed as he slipped it back. Sarutobi shook his head. If you say so. Dragon clapped his hands and headed towards the window. Where are you going now? Some lazy Chunin are calling my name. Dragon replied dismissively, jumping away, leaving a chuckling Hokage behind. Next morning Hikaru and Naruto were stiff as boards, watching their commander from behind masks as the enigma that was Dragon stared at them, clearly enjoying their discomfort. Mouse, Wolf. Dragon's voice was soft, but held authority. I have separate missions for you, though both important, and both long-term. First, Mouse. Naruto catches a scroll aimed at his head and pumps chakra into the ends, opening it. Scanning the contents, his head whips up. Yes, it's a solo mission, and yes, it's a simple one. Wave has finished the treaty it wants to have with Konoha. You are to escort their diplomat back with Konoha's response. The elders want a 5% increase on mission prices though, so don't leave until you get them to agree. Use those political lessons for once. Naruto bit back a grumble. Yes, Dragon-sama, though what's this profile in the back? Oh that? That's just one of the old tyrant Gato's accountants. He's inherited Gato's eastern fortune and businesses, including the 12 side businesses in fire. Kill him, impersonate him, sign the deeds over to the Konoha contact in the scroll, and then make his death seem natural. I mean, he is 60 and old people die all the time, before heading back. I would assign another ANBU to this, but sending just you saves money and your transformation prowess will be useful as he is said to employ some ninjas. Though technically no time limit, be back within 32 days for the Chunin exams. Now, shoo. He waves Naruto away, who gapes a bit before complying. Senpai, same deal, okay? Angel's coming with me though, but the food in the fridge is yours, Naruto says as he walks out, not noticing Dragon's slight stiffening. Once the blonde is gone, Dragon turns towards his other subordinate. 1. Stay away from Mouse's apartment, I'll watch it. 2. What do you know about the prisoner Mouse brought in? That it's some crazy IWA teenager. I'm not crazy, UN. Art is an explosion. Deidara yells, entering the doorway with 2 irate ANBU members. Yes Wolf, meet your new roommate. Naruto casually checked his gear while waiting for the diplomat, Angel chasing a butterfly nearby. Hey, Mouse? Angel asked, remembering to use his code name for once. Naruto looked over and tilted his head. Weren't we supposed to see Yakumo tomorrow for a picnic? Under his masks Naruto paled. The sickly girl may have her chakra sealed and hit like a leaf, but her temper was fierce. Quickly he wrote a letter and ran through some hand signs. Summoning jutsu, and instantly a medium-sized panther arrived. Yes? What is it? The panther asked in a slightly irritated tone. Nobu, please deliver this to Yakumo-kun. She's at the place I showed you. Nobu hissed. I'm a battle messenger, not a go-between for couples. Summon my apprentice FAI if you want this done. But I've literally seen snails run faster than FAI. Please, Nobu? For me? Staring at one another, Nobu eventually caves. Alright fine, but only because I can't stand FAI's laziness. Already Akira's squad mocks us battle messengers. Nobu muttered the last part and bounded off with the letter in a bag attached to his middle. As he ran, Nobu appeared to stretch in long bounds, covering twice his length with every stride. Angel chuckled as she sat by Naruto's feet. Slower than snails. Why is FAI on the messenger squad anyways? She asked. The battle messenger squad was essential to the clan. They were known for delivering every message, written or verbal, through the toughest of situations. Nobu himself had originally been feared by the Tiger clan before the merge after he slaughtered 12 of their ranks to protect his cargo. His apprentice, FA, was a wagon-sized tiger who dreamed of being like Nobu. Unfortunately, the young one was better suited for guarding the clan or heavy assault, but the elders wished to let the tiger try. Sometimes an impossible dream is impossible to let go of, no matter how foolish, Naruto said finally. Angel cocked her head. It's nothing. He assured her. Naruto straightened as the man they'd be escorting walked up. You must be the ANBU guy the Hokage assigned? I'm Soda, nice to meet you. Naruto eyed the man wearily. Soda Yukimura, age 31 and official diplomat for the country of Wave. Average build, brown hair and chestnut eyes and a traveling kimono just barely above commoner standards. Overall the man checked out, but his casualness around trained assassins was unnerving. However, Naruto was on a mission to ensure Konoha got 5% more for missions taken for Wave clients, and hesitation would not help his cause. A pleasure to meet you, Yukimura-san. You may call me Mouse, and this is Angel. This may be a stupid question, but aren't you a little short to be an ANBU? I was told they were the elite, and you sound like a child. Sota said casually, but it was clearly an attempt to test the boundaries of the blonde's temper. I assure you my height or suggested age doesn't impede my ability to negotiate, guard, or hide bodies. Naruto replied cheerfully, and Sota sweated nervously. Right. We should be going. Naruto grunted and made several clones, one of which picked up a startled Sota. It's so we travel faster, he explained to the man. This way we'll reach Wave within a couple of days. Border to Wave, wow. Was Naruto's intelligent response to seeing the bridge connecting the island nation to the rest of the continent. Wow is right, Mouse-san. Tazuna finished this beauty a few months ago after Konoha ninjas fought a demon swordsman. We call it the Bridge of Hope as it revived our land. All around the merchants and travelers crossed the bridge on everything from foot to carriages. Oh. That's nice, Naruto said indifferently. He didn't know why, but Kota Yukimura had given him a bad vibe the closer they got to their destination. Not being able to explain it just made his defenses stay up more. It's my ability. Huh. Kurama. Long time no thought, Naruto joked. Inside the seal, Kurama rolled his eyes and resisted an unrefined groan. I can sense negative emotions like none other. Once you faced yourself Gaki, you too became able to sense the dark emotions in others like beacons. This disgusting swine you're guarding reeks of it. I don't know what he's planning, but I don't like it. The fox growled at the thought of the man in front of his container. His chakra was undeveloped and Naruto could effortlessly overpower him, but Kurama learned the hard way that inferior creatures had the annoying ability to enslave their betters through luck or other methods. Madara and that dameable fourth were perfect examples. Sota is planning something, Naruto agreed while observing how the ambassador glanced nervously to and fro. Thank you for the new skill, Kurama. Without it I might not have been able to discern what this swine was feeling. And he wasn't lying. Sota could misproject his intentions like a well-trained assassin, not something an average civil servant would be capable of doing. Humph. Whatever, Gaki. Just be careful. I refuse to have my container fall to such a swine. After this useless human political crap of a mission, we'll train in refining your sensing. Right now you're limited to those within a few feet of yourself, and my power is limited as you refuse to release any of my chakra while in your mask. You know why. It's that or face Dragon Sama, and I for one don't want to tick off a man who supposedly slaughtered a Kyumo shinobi with a spoon last year before I can even dodge him. Ooze, mouse. Yoo-hoo, anyone home? Sota moved his hand as if to wave it in front of the blonde's face, but instead was caught in a vice grip. Yes, I'm here, Yukimura-san. Please, let's continue to your country's council. I would prefer to complete this mission as quickly as possible. Already bored with me? Sota teased, even as his aura took a slightly sadistic spike. Naruto suppressed a shiver. No, but let's get going. Sai, you're no fun. And what's with your cat? He pointed to Angel, who was bounding away towards the town as per their agreement before the start of the mission. Oh, nothing. Angel just likes hunting, so she's probably off to fish or catch a squirrel. She'll find us later. Sota Yukimura nodded hesitantly but didn't question it. Angel raced away towards their target's house according to the map provided. Akira and Hibiki had already been summoned during a bathroom break by Naruto, along with a few clones. They would scout the area, and once Naruto arrived that evening they'd begin planning how to carry out the actual assignment. Away from Naruto as Angel set off on her mission, another group of shinobi were preparing their own. Danzo-sama will have his weapon soon. Follow the Jinchuriki from a distance until he leaves Wave. We'll strike then. A shadowy figure ordered into his headset from a hidden vantage point. The binoculars focused on his target. The root agent observed their inside man guide the Jinchuriki towards the Trade and Treaties Council. The man was part of Root's civilian infiltration corps, though never taught to access chakra, each member was able to masterfully manipulate the public sphere wherever they were sent. Surely gaining the Jinchuriki's trust, or at least putting him at ease, would be child's play. Right, Fusama? A monotone voice replied and signed off. Meanwhile, a black crow observed everything before poofing away to inform its summoner of these new developments. Back with Naruto. Yes, these terms are certainly opportunistic. What makes you think we should offer Konoha more than other countries for missions? 5% more at that? A rather plump official snootily asked, pushing up his glasses as he read Konoha's proposal. After 3 hours of answering questions and reading Konoha's response, the council was attempting to weasel their way out of paying more. Naruto twiddled with a kunai from his pouch and hummed, giving the impression that he simply didn't give a damn. Nothing, really. Except for 3 simple reasons that make 6% seem reasonable. 1-inch Naruto drew 2 more kunai and embedded one into the wooden desk he sat at, causing all 20 of the officials to flinch. Konoha is the nearest shinobi village not entrenched in war. 2-inch another kunai and more flinches. Our military is second to none, we are called the best of the 5 for a reason. And 3-inch here, he slammed the remaining kunai hilt deep into the wood using a bit of wind chakra. Well, let's just say we are not just sunshine and roses like our civilians and genin like to believe, we are still shinobi, after all. He let that sink in. The message was clear: agree and pay up, or their lives could become much less pleasant in the new wave of prosperity they enjoyed. Of course, Konoha wouldn't do that as long as Wave didn't hire ninjas from other villages. If they did, all bets were off, so they could argue the price without repercussions or break the agreement. Konoha didn't really need Wave, but having another mass client would be invaluable in the long run economic-wise. Not that they needed to know that. The political books Naruto read were hand-picked by Dragon himself, and though able to be diplomatic, the man was known for his love of direct tactics and hidden messages. It was only fair that Naruto followed in his footsteps. I see. Come back in 10 days, Konoha-nin. We'll have more to discuss then. The fat man told him, eyeing the kunai in slight fear. Thank you, honorable councilman. Naruto stood and bowed and turned toward Sota. I'll be in the provided lodgings, the blonde said stiffly, and with a flick of chakra was gone, as were the kunai, much to the amazement of the council. I didn't see him grab them. One, a fishing representative, exclaimed. Ninja. Back in my day we didn't need them, an ancient-looking trade official muttered. Wave was so peaceful back then. Naruto walked slowly through the obviously still recovering nation. Reports from Kakashi's team spoke of mass poverty and buildings in shambles. Now the citizens were gaining back weight and buildings showed signs of recent repair. It was heart-lifting to witness the town spirit as children ran carefree and most faces carried grins. But Naruto wasn't there to sightsee, he had reconnaissance. New Wave shipping and trade. The ornate storefront that shared a building with the bank appeared innocuous but was run by his target. Equipped with a couple of disguised missing ninja, chakra levels about Chunin but clearly not well controlled, that stood in the front and a few samurai inside, impersonating the man he was after effectively would be difficult if he merely used his henge. No, it was going to take profiling him and then becoming him. The Konoha contact was working as the former accountant's secretary. Naruto just had to sign the will and business over and off the man in a way that left no clues. Simple, right? Glancing at the sky, he was slightly relieved with how dark the island got. Replacing with a shadow clone several building tops away, he made his way to Angel's location. Deep within Konoha, 2 days later, Sir Fu's team is in place to capture the Jinchuriki as he exits Wave. A blank masked operative informed a tea-drinking Danzo. Said man chuckled darkly. Excellent. Once the Jinchuriki arrives, I'll place him under my control seal. Danzo-sama, won't that alert the Hokage if the weapon doesn't make it back from the mission? Danzo resisted the urge to punish the agent below him for their question. Quite right, but the Jinchuriki won't be missing for long. Once Suna and Orochimaru make their foolish attempt on Konoha, I'll activate the seal in the chaos. Hiruzen will fall, and it will be because of his little pet. Of course, Danzo-sama. Now leave me. And inform Sai I expect better reports. Being on the outside has dulled his ability to record in detail, it seems. Danzo griped as he glared at the rather pathetic scrap of information from his young ink user. He'd have to punish the boy after Hiruzen's reign ended, and he could mold Konoha as it should be. With Dragon, so Danzo team thinks kidnapping my subordinate will be that easy, eh? Dragon chuckled and gave his crow a pat. I think he'll be quite surprised when Mouse brings them back in scrolls. Still, I suppose sending an agent on vacation to Wave wouldn't hurt. But who? He mused aloud, looking at the profiles of available Anbu. Dragon-sama, Wolf and Fox have caused a riot in the hospital involving the Akimichi clan head. An Anbu reported from the hallway. Dragon face-palmed but headed over to see what his two bakas did now. What he didn't expect was Fox's mask's pink whiskers, much like Mouse's red ones, to have smatterings of cake, and Wolf's uniform to be covered in syrup and confetti, both screaming about whose fault it was. Mind telling me why you two resemble a birthday party? Dragon inquired, Mask hiding his smirk as the two agents screamed at his arrival, latching onto each other. DD Dragon-sama, how nice to see you, they greeted in unison. Dragon withheld a snort. What am I going to do with you? He asked instead. Naruto hissed in discomfort as Angel's claws gripped his head painfully. They'd been on lookout for the past week, and he only had 2 days before Wave's council would give him an answer, or try to negotiate again. Either way, Naruto wanted this part of his mission done. Perching in trees day and night while the Panthers and his clones gathered information inside and another went sightseeing with Soda was not the blonde's idea of an enjoyable week. Genta Kendo, former accountant and recently made billionaire when Gato left some of his fortune and business to him, and the 60-something-year-old had it made. Chunin-level security, a Western-style mansion, and all the women he wanted. Konoha's contact had given him a packet over Genta's schedule and list of the ninja under him, meaning all Naruto had to do was bide his time for the perfect opportunity. An rustle of leaves in all directions was all the warning Naruto got before Hibiki arrived. Here, his cologne, Hibiki muttered between a mouthful of the aroma-shrouded bottle. Thank you, Naruto signed. Hibiki spit the bottle out. Naruto instantly sprayed it on his hair and pocketed it. One of the guards had Genta wear it in his hair, as it was a uniquely scented cologne that only he made, making tracking and identification simple. Are you making your move tonight, young one? Hibiki asked quietly. Yes, when the guard rotation changes. The ones protecting Genta would change positions outside his private office in the western side. The door was steel and the window was only protected by level 2 security seals, a non-obstacle for one of Naruto's level. Less than 2 minutes later the rotation happens and Genta Kendo was peacefully working late as always. The older man lit a pipe as he signed another document, sighing contentedly. He never noticed the Anbu picking apart his high-end security seals, the basic shock, trap, and chakra binding tags that the average ninja wouldn't know simply because of how rare Fuinjutsu was, with barely 4 strokes and a hand seal. He never noticed the sedative-laced senbon striking his neck, or that it was a mirror image of himself that did it. With barely a gasp, Genta Kendo fell into a deep slumber. Naruto gazed impassively at the slumbering man and changed his clothes out for the man's own on his hinged form, mentally glad it went smoothly. Hibiki and Angel came next to him. After tying Genta up and handing off more sedatives to Hibiki, the panther and soon-to-be dead man disappeared in a puff of smoke, back to the summoning realm, where he'd be kept slumbering until tomorrow evening. The man would only wake up enough to be given a stroke-inducing drug and would die in his bed after complaining the day away about his health. Go watch Soda, I have a feeling something will happen soon and I don't want us unaware, Naruto ordered in a whisper, Angel agreeing silently before jumping out the window. He redid the seals, made up the documents for Genta's will and exited the office at exactly 1:10 in the morning, just like normal. Kendo-sama, have a pleasant rest, Rai, the censor and sniffer of the guards bid as he bowed. Naruto kept the smirk off his face as he ambled towards his room, careful to walk like a civilian and not a shinobi. On the road towards Wave, are we there yet? No. Can we fly there, No. Stop talking, we're on a mission. Signs only. Humph, stupid rule if you ask me. Why'd I get stuck with you for a babysitter and why are we on this mission? Because Dragon-sama is an ass and you made him look bad with the hospital stunt. Hikaru glared from behind his mask. The dysfunctional duo had been assigned the mouse retrieval mission, as Dragon so lovingly called it, to find their comrade and get him back to Konoha safely, all without the chaos that ensued wherever they went. Deidara scoffed at Hikaru's accusation. My stunt? I'm not the one that said, hey Fox, wouldn't it be funny if you dropped a bomb on the visiting Akimichi's cake? Wow, blame me, real mature, Pyro Kohai. I said it would be funny, not to actually do it. Who in their right mind drops a bomb in a hospital? Hikaru waved his arms in frustration, which increased when Deidara huffed. Blowing stuff up proves how amazing art is, How was I supposed to know the fatso would turn into a ball and wreck the waiting room? Dragon Team is going to pay when we spar next. I can just see it now, I'll turn his whole body into art. As an explosion. The blonde let off a cackle as Hikaru nervously backed away. Great, of course I'd be teamed with the psycho. Why is Anbu filled with weirdos? Yugao has a sword shrine, Tenzo worships the log privately, Chibi Kohai is obsessed with ramen and now my partner, I'm the only normal one on our squad. Hikaru mutters. Unfortunately Deidara hears him. Normal, Hell no. You have a cockroach collection under your bed. They keep the floor clean after I cook. Hikaru defended. So you feed them scraps? Tell me, how is that sane? And you even set up a habitat for them, One waved at me in the shower. I've never screamed so loud in my life, yes, Phi 39 is very sociable. She helped prove you are female, Hikaru boasted. Deidara grew a tick mark. I'm a male. We've established this, you barged into the bathroom when I screamed, and you covered your chest up with the shower curtain, only ladies do that. So, you're obviously a chick. I have the same anatomy as any other male, we compared sizes last night, Deidara pointed out, which Hikaru dismissed with a flippant hand. Obviously a henge. Face it, embrace your gender. We in Konoha are very gender equal in ninja duties. No need to hide. You're an ass, you know that right, Deidara deadpanned. Meanwhile, a certain crow poofed away to inform its master of the two buffoons' progress while rolling its eyes at their utter unprofessionalism. Summoning Realm, following night Genta Kendo blinked groggily as the world came back. He didn't remember falling asleep and the dim room he was in was definitely not his office. Good, you're awake, I was getting bored, a disembodied voice rang from above. He lifted his head, the only part not paralyzed, and widened his eyes at the sight. A young blonde Anbu, the one Konoha had sent as their political bulldog he realized, waved at him lazily while holding a needle in the other hand. Why did Konoha send one of its dogs after me? This won't look good on you. When my men find out they'll associate it with a tragic accident, but we'll move on after it comes out that you left all your assets to secretary and secrete lover in your will, as you couldn't acknowledge his affections in public. Life will go on and nobody will miss you. W8. I'll do anything. How much do you want? Millions? How about your own island away from Hunter Neens? Or all the women you could want? I'm not even a teenager yet, Naruto says after a pregnant pause. Goodbye, he finishes and throws the senbon with precision accuracy. It strikes the inside of Genta's ear, sending him into a seizure. With a heavy sigh Naruto has them reverse summoned back to the mansion, and before a minute is up the Anbu is out the window. A dead ex-accountant gazes unseeing at the ornate ceiling in his luxurious bed. When Rai checks on his employer 30 minutes later, no evidence would be left to link anything but the Shinigami to the crime. And thus ended the life of Genta Kendo, all because he lived in a shinobi world that saw him worth more dead than alive. "Hey, you okay?" Angel snuggled against Naruto's side in their hotel room, him still in full gear but his emotions radiated out like a heater. "Yeah, I don't know," he admitted. "Ever since I faced my darkness I've become colder. I played with him, Angel. I could have, should have, just let him awaken and strike before he realized what was happening. It's terrifying, how I almost enjoyed it." Angel purred. "Silly, we kill for the village, like Dragon says. Where I'm from, the strong take pleasure in murdering or selling the weak. If you're the runt or your parents die, the Hellcat clan sells you on the human black market. It's how I ended up in that store where you found me." She turned away. "Angel, I didn't know, I'm so sorry, don't apologize," she exclaimed. "If that didn't happen I'd be dead by now of forced into producing litter after litter for the Hellcats. Making you guilty isn't why I'm telling you this. No, I'm telling you because I know what makes a murderer, one who has lost their humanity. You haven't. Believing otherwise is a waste of time. Just forget about the man, he deserved his fate anyway for his crimes. That kitten is right, your merging just made you balanced. In this world of you wretched humans death is inevitable. Ah, you know you love me, Kurama. You don't really hate us, wretched humans, do you?" Silence greeted the blonde's tease. "Let's sleep, tomorrow we can go home," Angel mumbled. "If that stupid council makes up their mind," mused Naruto. "They will, or I'll scratch them where the sun don't shine. You've been spending too much time with Anko again, haven't you?" Next afternoon, leaving Wave Angel and Naruto gave the bridge one last look, turning towards the road back to Konoha. "So I guess Soto was just creepy?" Angel inquired. Naruto was about to answer before tensing. A negative chakra signature that had just evaded his sensing range several times during their stay, never leaving so much as a scent when the bewildered Naruto would pursue, was closing in, its ill intentions dull but there. In the tree line 10 masked shinobi gathered. Barely pulling off a shunshin to escape a snake of shadow trying to ensnare him, Naruto appeared mid-air. Now the problem with shunshing off the ground is that it leaves one open for counter-attacks if the opposition was able to track the chakra trail or react fast. In the trees Fu had such ability and shot several kunai at Naruto, one embedding itself into his leg. The wound wasn't maim-worthy, especially with the young Anbu's healing, but it would hopefully be enough to capture him without much fuss and take him back for Danzo-sama's mind control seal. With a sharp hand movement the root agents create a circle around their target. "Naruto Uzumaki, surrender peacefully on orders of Danzo-sama," Fu said neutrally, not really believing the Jinchuriki would obey him. He was brainwashed by the Hokage's lies after all. Fu planned to whip the "screw you" Danzo's dogs. The now limping Anbu spat before summoning several dozen clones and tigers. With a slight eye roll Fu signaled for his partner, Toryun, to move on with the capture, and the Nara to his left sent out more of his shadows, the late afternoon sun perfect for increasing his range. With Naruto the clones and tigers would buy him time figure something out. He would reverse summon himself and Angel, but that took time, and having one of the tigers go get permission by Hibiki, even if it only took 3 minutes, Naruto would be toast. The masks and jutsu pointed to Root, and they weren't ones to be taken lightly. He could use ninjutsu, but they were close to the bridge, damaging it would look poorly on Konoha, and if he had to guess, Naruto would bet that the root agents had counters to his strengths. "Kurama, any ideas? Channel my chakra and rip their faces off," he suggested. "They'll sense your chakra," Naruto deadpanned, not even bothering to touch the second part of the suggestion. "Barrier seals? Hello, stupid mortal. That white pervert gave some to you for a situation like this one." "Oh yeah, oops. Why must I be sealed in you?" Naruto ignored his furry partner and pulled out the barrier tags that would mask the Kyuubi chakra like in their training grounds. He could still accidentally damage the bridge, but at least Wave wouldn't charge Konoha with acts of war for sending a Jinchuriki by feeling the vile chakra. The young Jinchuriki was about to have more clones slap the tags in a semicircle when he realized he couldn't move. "Hold him still now," the red-head leader ordered. Naruto recognized him from Dragon's briefings, Fu Yamanaka, high A-class agent, right-hand man of Danzo. "I'm screwed," Naruto thought grimly. The Aburame next to Fu, his partner Naruto put together, walked over with another root agent, prisoner scroll in hand. "Katsu." A familiar voice shouts as bombs went off around Naruto, forcing his captors to separate and the link to be severed, freeing him. A ninjato from one of his kidnappers tries to stab his right shoulder through the dust cloud. Naruto blocks it with his armor. The dust starts to settle and a quick look confirms Naruto's suspicions at the sight of a certain clay bird above the forest. "Deidara? Aren't you in prison?" The slack-jawed Naruto sputtered. Deidara swooped down and drop-kicked the Nara, knocking the man out. "How'd you get out? Wait, and is that H-Wolf? Did you two defect? And why is he wearing a fox mask?" Chibi Kohai, have more faith in your favorite senpai. Pyro Kohai and I here are your rescuers, he joined Konoha. Pyro Kohai was given the fox mask by Dragon. He said it was his little joke. "Now look alive, it's time to kick some ass and take some names." Hikaru jumped down and sent a jukin to the heart, the agent on the receiving end howling as they fell. "I should be the fox mask," Naruto growled. He'd asked for the fox mask but Dragon had told him the Anbu didn't have one. The liar would pay somehow, but he'd pay. Even S-rank ninjas weren't invulnerable. Wind style, drilling air bullets, at point-blank range a root ninja with a poised kunai became a bowling pin for the bullets of wind chakra. 6 enemies remained and Naruto barely took notice of the mask thief Deidara hopping back on the bird and following a retreating single route towards the bridge. "Mouse, give me some wind," Hikaru called. Wind style, great breakthrough / fire style fire wave, and the pair's first combination jutsu decimated the Aburame's bugs. "Art is an explosion, Katsu," was heard moments later before a shockwave knocked both sides off their feet. Tazuna was enjoying a fine late summer afternoon. His daughter and grandson were making a nice dinner. Business was booming, and his bridge was magnificent. He stopped as the sun set on his way home, wanting to gaze upon his super bridge yet again. Katsu. Only to stare slack-jawed as his pride and joy went kablooey. "My super bridge," and then the explosion showed the entire land of waves. "My art, Deidara recounted his masterpiece for the 5th time to a dozing Hikaru and mentally chanting Naruto. "Must not kill Deidara. Must not kill Deidara. I actually like the gaki. Much too loud like your old self, but enjoys destruction." Of course you'd say that. The ride on Deidara's bird had long since lost its magic when it became apparent the older blonde had no filter. "Mouse, hey mouse. Pay attention. My art demands an audience and Roach team is too dense to enjoy art." Snort. "I enjoy art just fine. But I would rather spend the last hours of my life before Dragon Same skewers us for your mistake sleeping. Not listening to your insane rehashings." Hikaru shot back. Both got in each other's faces and Naruto face-palmed. "Do I even want to know why you call him Roach Team? He has a colony of roaches living under his bed, The bastard even named them." Deidara pointed an accusing finger at Hikaru who pointed a finger back at him. "Shut it, Pyro Kohai. You're living in my apartment, for free. My house, my rules. Actually the landlord owns the place and she'll be ticked that you let the roaches back in, senpai." Naruto commented dryly while petting Angel. The cat purred on his lap, enjoying the attention. "Only if you tell her, my sweet little Kohai." You wouldn't sell out your favorite senpai, would you? Of course I would. Naruto replied bluntly. Deidara cackled as Hikaru deflated. My own Kohai would sell me out to the devil. Camaraderie my ass. He paused for effect. Though if I was kicked out of my apartment I'd have to bunk with you, my sweet little Kohai. And as Deidara here is attached to me for his probation, you'd have 2 new roommates. Your secret is safe with me, senpai. So, Deidara, Naruto turns towards the teenager he helped capture. Why did you join Konoha? No expectations, I'm considered a prodigy in IWA, and you two know how that is, both in ANBU so young. Hikaru and Naruto looked at each other then back to the older blonde. Nope. Not a clue. Naruto shrugged. I graduated just a few months ago and went straight into ANBU. The village actually doesn't really know I graduated and the lower-level ninja believe I'm a paper pusher of a ninja. And I'm a Hyuga, barely, Naruto coughed jokingly. Hikaru huffed but continued. And Hyuga don't use ninjutsu, only chakra-enhanced taijutsu. I'm an expert at both and my medical ninjutsu is becoming noteworthy among the ANBU ranks. Even though I graduated early, I'm considered a failure by the clan for breaking tradition. Deidara whipped off his mask and stared at the duo in shock. What kind of village is Konoha, Plus, all I hear about is the Uchiha prodigy, Hatake genius and that cousin of yours. The village pays attention to very few prodigies, but that's how Konoha stays on top. A fair amount of shinobi graduate early and enter ANBU relatively young, but we only promote a few at the Chunin exams. The rest of us just quietly advance in field promotions and serve our village. It works out for everyone, as this way Konoha is stronger than it appears and the attention hogs get their glory amongst the nobles. I know I'd hate all the attention, right, Chibi Kohai? Sure, senpai. But he's right. I'm a clan-less orphan so I'm not a good choice to bring in revenue. Hikaru may work but his status as a main branch Hyuga that uses other forms of the ninja arts would shame his family. Naruto left out his status as Konoha's Jinchuriki and his heritage. Deidara wasn't privileged to that information yet. That makes sense, I guess. But hey, if Roach Team specializes in ninjutsu, taijutsu, and medical jutsu, what are you good for? Fuinjutsu, my little Kohai could whip anyone in ANBU, except Dragon-sama, of course, at Fuinjutsu, and his traps are in the top 5. I took 5th last month, senpai, remember? You used it as an excuse to celebrate at a bar. Tisk, details. Anyway, he's also almost passable at ninjutsu and genjutsu. That Shunshin was terrifying, You managed 6 in a row without hand seals. You must have spent a long time mastering it, Naruto shook his head. Actually it isn't mastered yet. Dragon-sama told me about the legendary Shursui Uchiha, who was so amazing he could make after images using a combination of speed and genjutsu, which I'm not ready for. He says until I can use the Shunshin faster than him I would be no match for the legend of Shursui. I remember learning about him, IWA spoke of how deadly he was with just his Sharingan and basic jutsu. I admired how he always used simple jutsu to make a lot of destruction. After that the two blondes launched into an avid discussion over how amazing the dead legend was compared to other famous shinobi. Meanwhile Hikaru and Angel just rolled their eyes. Think they'll finish before we give our report? Hikaru asked the Hell Cat who had moved to his lap. No, Naruto is obsessed with this Shursui guy ever since Dragon told us about all his unclassified missions, including ones Dragon went on with him. Wait. Your name is Naruto, Deidara interjected after catching Angel's reply. Naruto nodded a bit proudly, always impressed with his name's meaning of maelstrom. Deidara started laughing. Oh, this is rich. Your name is Fishcake. Wait, and you use seals? I got it. Fuinjutsu Fishcake. That's your nickname now. Naruto's face faulted at the reaction and Hikaru howled. No, it actually suits you, the Hyuga managed between chuckles. Yeah, Naruto, Akira would love to hear about this. Angel agreed. Naruto was in too much shock to retort. Inside the seal, Kurama was collapsed on the ground. Fuinjutsu fish cake. Hahaha, I'll have to remember that one. Konoha, later, so you killed the root agents, but not before burning a sizable chunk of the forest and letting Deidara blow up their bridge for one grunt? Am I hearing this right? Sarutobi asked in disbelief. The Anbu stood ramrod straight as he recounted their report. When all three sheepishly nodded, the aged ruler dropped his head in his hands. Fine, just tell me they don't suspect Konoha. I already had some henged clones pass on a rumor about bandits using explosives on the bridge. We should be receiving a missions request within a few days, Hokage-sama, Naruto spoke up. Sarutobi sighed a bit in relief. Very well. Mouse, if you could reseal Fox's chakra? And Ro is scheduled to be back together starting tomorrow. Tenzo wants you three at HQ at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Dismissed. All three bowed and left in Shunshin. Instantly a familiar chuckle came from the shadows. You can stop laughing. No, I don't think I can. Putting those two together was perfect, once Fox learns control. And Mouse? He'll do fine. Yes, Naruto is growing up. Shursuim old. No, not this again, the commander groaned. Yes, this again. You caused this. All this paperwork, even my clones can't keep up. I don't care, so I've decided, not listening. Shursui covered his ears. That after the Chunin exams you'll be my successor. Oh hell no, Hiruzen. Not a chance. You're taking the hat after the exams, Sarutobi insisted. No thanks, I prefer action over politics, O king of desk jobs. Just think of how much more you can mess with the ninja as the Hokage. Give me the hat, old man, he says, holding his hand out. Sarutobi's sweat dropped. Not until we kill Orochimaru and Danzo. With Naruto, the three Anbu were sitting around a booth in the Fibent Kunai, Hikaru's favorite spot for current/retired Anbu. While they ate, Naruto worked on the chakra smoke tags due for the month. Yo, Fuinjutsu fish cake, what are you doing now? Deidara inquired with a skewer in his mouth. Naruto sent a slight glare while various Anbu from other squads hid their amusement but promising themselves to tease the younger blonde later. First off, I'm technically your senpai, so call me Naruto when off duty and Mouse while on duty. Second, it's chakra smoke tags, though I'll fill them up tonight. Basically they create a cloud of chakra that messes with even sensors. I fill them with my shadow clones. How can you make so many? I use these shadow clones sometimes and they eat up a bunch of chakra. No one your age would have that much chakra unless you're the Jinchuriki, aren't you? Deidara pointed at him. The room grew tense as the shinobi prepared to either kill Deidara or hold Naruto off depending on how it played out. Yes. Though how did Iwa know? Naruto asked tersely. No one believed the Kyuubi died. It's cool, I was friends with Rashi, one of our Jinchuriki. But this means you could use the exploding shadow clones. I use them for my art, clones that explode. You could help show the world that art isn't. He was cut off by Hikaru covering his mouth. Naruto just sat deep in thought. Exploding shadow clones? That sounds interesting. Your mother used that jutsu many times on the battlefield. Kurama said. I remember how she did it. Oh. Please show me. Please, please. Naruto begged. Kurama eye rolled at the mental puppy dog eyes. Sure. Wait, really? No. Hikaru and Deidara could only watch in mild concern when their masked friends started cursing about stingy foxes taking away his fun. Next morning, Mouse, what are you doing here this early? Ferret grumbled at the sight of the blonde Anbu in the 5M light. Sorry, Ferret-senpai, but my neighbor guy would no doubt make me join him in his youthful workout, and Yakumo-chan mentioned once she wanted to paint the mountain view in the morning light. Perhaps I could escort her until noon? Naruto asked with a slight beg. Ferret perked up at the question. If Naruto wanted to take the brat for a few hours, he could go back to sleep. With a hidden grin he nodded. I'll allow it. Just keep her safe, Mouse. Ja-ne, the honey-colored Anbu disappeared back towards his room. Naruto turned to Yakumo's room in time to see the glaring girl peeping out. You didn't come, she accused. Naruto chuckled nervously. Sorry. I got an emergency mission, see, but I sent a note. Yes, what a rude summons that was. You're taking me to go paint, though? Yep, so grab your paints. I even have some ramen for lunch, and Naruto couldn't finish before being dragged by Yakumo, her paint bag already slung over her shoulder. 3 hours later the pair drank green tea amongst several bowls of ramen. I see you like ramen more each time I have it, Naruto commented. Yakumo puffed her cheeks. And no. It's acceptable like I said last time. But anyways, is Jiraiya of the Sannin really a pervert who writes smut? Over the last several letters Naruto had filled Yakumo in on some of his life, including meeting the self-proclaimed super pervert. Oh yes. You know those Ika books? Yakumo nods suspiciously. Yeah, Ferret and the medics read them when they think I'm not looking. They always giggle too. Well, he writes them. They're filled with sex and other gross stuff. I don't know why so many adults like reading them. Yakumo shrugs. Adults are weird. Hey, you're good with seals, aren't you? She asked after a moment. Well, not that great, but I am a solid level 4, I got tested right before my last mission. At this rate I'll be a level 5 before the Chunin exams end. Naruto stated proudly. But why? You and I have a seal on me. Could you look at it? Yakumo rubbed her neck self-consciously. Naruto cocked his head. I guess. Let me see. Yakumo pulled her neckline down, allowing Naruto to examine it. He sucked in a breath. Such shoddy work. Who put this on her? I'm not sure, but that's what's holding back her ID. You keep saying ID, ever since our guard mission here. What is an ID? It's a lot like your dark side but has its own chakra and separate form. I don't know why she has one, but messing with that seal before we can find out how to destroy it would be unwise. Naruto bit his lip as Yakumo radiated hope. Yakumo-chan, I can't remove it. The girl deflated under him. But, I'll talk to Jiraiya-sama soon and see what he can do. Maybe we can. No. They're all the same. Everyone but you wants me helpless. She insisted, shaking her head violently. Naruto held up a hand. Why do you think everyone is out to get you? Maybe if I knew I could help? No, you'll side with the Hokage. I don't even know your name, who's to say you aren't his spy? A pregnant pause followed. Naruto. My name's Naruto, and though I'm loyal to the Hokage, I can still help. It all started last year, when I was assigned Kuranai Yuhi as my private tutor. I was always sickly, but I wanted to be a ninja, to make my parents proud. Jonin Lounge. 2 hours later Naruto stormed into the Anbu/Jonin Lounge with a dark aura. Yakumo finished her tale before passing out, and Naruto dropped her off early, and then set out to have a chat with Kuranai. Trying to seal a figment of a personality with such a horribly written seal. What arrogance! Kurama growled in agreement. I don't even like humans and I find it cruel. An ID must be faced to be beaten, sealing it away erodes on her body and mind. What are the side effects? If taken off within a few months the girl will be fine. If left on for much longer than that, she'll be taken over by the ID before falling into a never-ending coma. Damn Kuranai. I'm not sure about the Hokage bit, but Kuranai should have had Dragon Sama or the Hokage perform the sealing. Better yet, they should have helped her face it. Though I doubt they knew anything about this ID. Kuranai sat in a meeting with the other rookie sensei and Hawk, who had aided in training the genin extensively. Taking off his mouse mask, Naruto cleared his throat, gaining the table's attention. Hey, Naruto, here for the meeting? You did help in training Team 7, right? Hawk greeted. Naruto gave Gamma's captain a curt nod. I did train Team 7 at times, Captain Hawk, but that isn't why I'm here. Kuranai, I need to speak with you. Oh? What about? She asked with a raised eye, gaining a fresh glare. It's about Yakumo. How did you? She's my friend, he said, and she wanted me to look at a Sela, very poorly done one at that. Kuranai flinched while Asuma took a drag on his cigarette. Naruto, calm down. Kakashi tried to sound calm as Naruto's chakra started becoming visible. No, senpai, her solution to Yakumo's problem is hurting her. At this Kuranai gasped. Hurting her? No, I sealed away her abilities to save her. Well, it isn't working. Calm down. An almost intelligent human said, you catch more bees with honey. Keep acting up and they'll stop you from seeing the girl altogether. Naruto gave some mental thanks before taking a deep breath. Sigh, I have to meet up with my team in a few hours. I'll schedule a meeting with the Hokage soon, where maybe I can figure out how to help Yakumo. Until then, I apologize for my disrespect. The blonde Anbu bowed stiffly and used a shunshin out, not wanting his anger to overtake him. He'd been so ready to yell at Kuranai Yuhi, but his rational side took over. If Naruto wanted to save Yakumo, he'd have to proceed cautiously, as her files were apparently on the same level of secrecy as his own. Deciding killing some trees with jutsu would calm him, Naruto set off towards the training grounds. The Jonin watched their young comrade leave with sympathy. Kuranai's decisions regarding her first student had garnered more than a few disapproving looks in the Jonin circles, and if Naruto was right, I didn't know, the Genjutsu mistress whispered before getting up. Excuse me, I have to go. Asuma followed as she fled, leaving an awkward duo of Kakashi and Hawk behind. So, Kuro, how's the girlfriend? Kakashi tried when the silence stretched on. Hawk looked impassively from his mask and captain cloak. We broke up, senpai. I am in uniform, so please use my code name. Not a chance, Kuro. After all, I am the one who trained you in beginning traps. Kakashi, I smiled. Tisk, and I've surpassed you, lazy bastard. Humph. At least I didn't break up with my girlfriend. Kakashi chided. Well, at least I've had a girlfriend to break up with. Details. Kakashi waved his old Anbu friend away and began reading his book again. Naruto's apartment, Ai. Deidara's screams filled the apartment complex, and Hikaru soon followed. Both were pinned to the walls with kunai and seals. Angel hissed at them, not amused at being woken up from a nap. What are you doing here? She ordered. Naruto isn't home, so nobody should come in. Angel, nice to see ya. We just need to borrow some money from Chibi Kohai, think you could let us down? Hikaru begged. Let me guess, you spent all your rent money on a bar again? Naruto's annoyed voice echoed from the doorway. Hey, Chibi Kohai, you know us so well. So, how about it? Help a senpai out, yeah, Fuinjutsu fish cake, show that Konoha camaraderie. Please, Chibi Kohate, why is a smaller Chibi here? Standing next to Naruto was a cowering child, looking very out of place. The blonde's eye twitched as he unhooked his armor and sealed it. This is Momo, and she's my guest, and yes, I'll add it to your never-ending tab. Here Naruto kneeled down and looked at Momo kindly. Momo-chan, why don't you go sit down at the table? I'll bring you some tea and help you with your seals. Will Jiraiya-sama be here soon? I finished the first book last week and want to show him. Momo asked shyly. Naruto ruffled her hair. I sent a clone to his spot, I'm sure he'll be here soon. The girl nodded and went to the coffee table, staring at the two attached to the wall. Now, as for you two, they gulped, but Naruto just made several signs, causing the kunai to poof away and them to collapse on the floor. Then he summoned several of his panthers. My elder summons enjoy a good brush down, but I'm too busy right now. Hibiki-sama here will instruct you in how to properly do it in my stead. But we have a meeting with Ro soon, Naruto. Hikaru whined. Yeah, and brushing cats is so bang-worthy, Deidara added. Then I suggest you get going, senpai. Naruto said cheerful. Hibiki snorted too and settled himself on Hikaru's head. Come, young one, my fur was knotted during my last mission. With looks of betrayal they leave, Momo quietly watching. Naruto-senpai, why are you in Anbu anyway? A lot of kids say you failed out and I remember you being a lot louder in the academy. Well, it's a long story for another day. But you're only 9 or 10, why are you in the final year's class? Setting down some prepared tea, Naruto took out his level 2, part 1 Fuinjutsu book. I'm a civilian, no known ninjas, and my father died last year on a business trip. My mother works hard, but the sooner I graduate the sooner I can start earning some income. That's fair, but why do you really want Jiraiya-sama here? And why were you wandering the training grounds? You're lucky I found you and not some other ninja, most would report you as anyone below genin aren't allowed on them. You could have jeopardized your advancement. Naruto didn't mention the fact he had often traversed the normal training grounds at a young age without repercussions, as a Jinchuriki normal rules didn't apply to him that often. I want Jiraiya take Mesh's apprentice. She rushed out her words. I said, I want Jiraiya-sama to take me on as his apprentice. He's the best at Fuinjutsu, and I don't have a clan or the money to pay for more jutsu. To learn from Jiraiya-sama would set me apart, and I could fulfill my dream and become a Fuinjutsu master. Momo's voice took a star-struck look. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I'm glad you have a dream, but looking on a training ground wasn't the best option to locate the man. He doesn't really train in the normal grounds. Luckily though, like I told you when I found you, I know Jiraiya-sama personally. When he gets here I'll put a good word in for you. Really? Yes, really, us Fuinjutsu users have to stick together, and he held out a hand and Momo took it in a shake. Oi, Gaki. What's the big idea, making a clone pull me away from my research? Jiraiya's loud voice boomed from the window. Naruto just raised an eyebrow. And Momo? What are you doing here? I finished the first book, Jiraiya-sama. Momo said meekly, not catching the gobsmacked look on the Toad Sage's face at the thought of the 9-year-old blasting through the first level. Naruto smirked. I guess you have a summoner candidate, Deep within Rice, so Konoha suspects nothing? A slithering voice chuckles from the darkness. Kukuku. Kabuto is certainly useful. Kimimaro, let us depart, we have a meeting with the Kazekage. As you wish, Orochimaru-sama, is it time? A pale and sickly teen went to the missing ninja's side. Kukukuku, yes, the time has come. Iwa's backing would have been preferred, but my minions with Suna will be enough to crush the incompetent Konoha. Konoha shall fall by your hand, Orochimaru-sama. Underneath Konoha, Fu and Toryun, their seals dissipated yesterday. Without them Root is weakened, Danzo mused, looking at his scroll that had all his agents' trackers. Furthermore, I have no idea how they died. Damn, Hiruzen. Tell me, what is the status on Kabuto? The Root in front of him had no inflection as they answered. The spy has been given false information, believing Konoha has no knowledge of the invasion or their alliance. He was also given the altered security plans, which showed Konoha as weak and ineffective. Excellent, we'll use Orochimaru to kill Hiruzen if need be, and that elusive commander of his, any word on his identity? No, Danzo-sama, but we will keep looking. Do so. Dismissed, the war hawk finished dismissively and the agent left. Sai, report on the Uchiha. Yes, Danzo-sama. Everything would go as planned, and both Konoha and the Jinchuriki would be in his grasps. If only the nagging feeling he had about Sai would stop. My, Naruto, what a surprise. To think Konoha's dead last, drop-out Jinchuriki was an Anbu? I must be losing my touch. That, or someone knew of my ruse. Kabuto chuckled darkly to the bound and barely conscious Naruto, who managed a weak glare. His team was on a 4-man patrol as Dragon needed more seals created before Chunin hopefuls arrived the next week. He had sent Angel out as well to work with Hisoka in operating her larger form. Coordination for a Hellcat when they changed their size was always tricky. Traitor, Naruto growled. He knew about Kabuto, all of Anbu did. But for the man to blow his cover now had serious implications. He attempted to call forth Kurama's chakra but found instead a searing pain. Crap. If I can't use chakra, I can't deactivate my silencing seals. Not that it would help, as Guy is training somewhere and Kakashi is at Jiraiya's book signing. Damn, he ambushed me by bypassing my seals but keeping up the silencing ones. Fuinjutsu wasn't in his files. Tisk, TSK, a little shock there, eh? No, I can't have you trying to leave before I get some answers. Now tell me, where is the scroll of sealing? I looked everywhere in the tower but it appears to have vanished from its traditional spot. However, I remembered a certain blonde having stole it but couldn't find you until now, it seems. Really, you shouldn't have told that academy student where you live. It was so simple getting such a sweet child to tell me where her senpai lived. When you picked her up from the academy last Thursday for ramen. Really, Naruto, you couldn't sense me? How pathetic. Now, unless you want her to become my new experiment, you'll tell me where the Anbu has moved the scroll. I'm a rookie, they wouldn't tell me about that. Naruto tried, keeping his voice neutral. In truth he did know, as the Hokage had taken him to the archives the week before to study the barrier seal on it so he could modify it to fit the Anbu HQ. TSK, I don't like liars, Naruto, you know who I am based on how quickly you had called on clones when I ambushed you, and I don't doubt Konoha is fully aware of Orochimaru-sama's plans. Of course, I'm an elite Jonin-level shinobi, and Yuri not. So save the lies and attempts at escape and tell me what I want to know. Kabuto had moved over and engulfed his hand in a blade of chakra. Swiping quickly he tore the muscles in Naruto's right leg, an injury unable to heal quickly with his chakra system acting out. Arg. I'll do worse to that academy student. Momo. The thought of the girl who had just eagerly showed him her newest seal being at the hands of the monster in front of him made the Jinchuriki's blood boil. But, revealing where the archives were, and subsequently the scroll of seals, was out of the question. So, in a probably suicidal move Naruto managed to lift his face from the floor and spat at the gray-haired traitor. Kabuto grunted. Bold move coming from someone experiencing my strongest chakra inhibitor poison mixed with venom. No matter, we'll have plenty of time to play back at Oto. Orochimaru-sama will be pleased to have a pet Jinchuriki. Why do you want the scroll of seals? Naruto asked, trying to buy time until the poison wore off. Already his feet tenketsu could be used without pain. If he timed a kick just right, You don't know? Well, Orochimaru-sama is one for the dramatic. And what better drama than for a Hokage to die by the hand of another, Wait Ito Tensei. He had heard about the jutsu from the scroll, a truly frightening jutsu in the wrong hands. Now, why don't we go pick up Momo-chan? She should be sleeping by now. I saw her room, lots of toads and foxes, probably Jiraiya's doing. And her pajamas? How precious. They'd look even cuter with blood and tears, don't you think? Then he looked up and saw a picture Naruto had on the wall, Yakumo painting, taken from when he visited her 3 days before, telling her he had a meeting scheduled with the Hokage about taking the seal off. She'd positively glowed in happiness. Oh? Who's that, Yakumo Kurama? Why don't I take her too? She's cute, hearing her scream as I unravel her Kekii Genkai's secrets will be music to my ears, cuckoo. And Naruto saw nothing but red. He thought of nothing but stopping the taunts, the threats. Yakumo. Naruto couldn't let her be hurt, not after he promised to make things better, not at the hands of this man. Kabuto felt a bubble of chakra that instantly shot through him. Looking down, the traitor saw a blue chain disappearing into his abdomen, another through his leg, and 3 more shooting off into the walls around. Kabuto tried to slice through the one in his abdomen with his chakra scalpels, but his hand bounced off. The blonde brat had called on chains from his hand, Kabuto realized. What the? He sputtered before reflexively blocking a weak punch. Naruto wheezed a bit as his punch was caught. The sudden emergence of the fabled chains was jolting, but he'd contemplate it later. Kabuto engulfed Naruto's hand in green, causing it to break. Hissing in pain, he rolled back against the wall, forcing chakra through the hand to deactivate all his seals. Kunai shot out of the wall, but all were deflected by the still impaled Kabuto, and one stray one was attached to a chain. Damn, not enough control to use Fuinjutsu or clones, forget other jutsu. As Naruto frantically fished for a solution, Kabuto whipped out a syringe to sedate his capture, throwing it the short distance at the now sitting up blonde, who was attempting to stand with severed muscles. However, it was not to be, as a gloved hand shined between Naruto and the needle, catching it. I can never leave you alone for a second, can I, mouse? My raven leaves for 10 minutes to check on Rose Squad and you got taken down by this pansy. Honestly, we need to spar more. The newly arrived dragon was the picture of cool, not even being surprised at the chain coming out of his subordinate's hand and through the traitor. Kabuto attempted to speak or move, but Dragon cut him off. Mouse, focus more chakra through your non-injured hand. Naruto did, and 3 more appeared, wrapping around the injured Kabuto. Your healing factor is astounding, Kabuto, but you can't heal being impaled if the object is still stuck. And those chains? Here the commander kneeled down and stared, Sharingan spinning, having Kabuto gasp. Not even the Kyuubi could break them. Tell me, who knows Konoha has been fooling Oto and Suna? Kabuto wanted to refuse or better yet lie dash, but his brain just felt like he should tell the unknown Sharingan wielder in front of him everything. It wasn't a normal genjutsu, and before long he had no idea why he felt any hesitance to tell the man in front of him what he knew. Nobody, I was going to tell Orochimaru-sama my suspicions after I arrived with the Jinchuriki. Kabuto spoke in a trance. Good, when is Orochimaru arriving? Naruto watched in fascination as his leader just asked for the information from a master spy, someone that should be unbreakable, especially if just asked. Next week. He will be here to take over a Genin team and then mark Sasuke Uchiha during the second phase, where I would then abduct him. Why did you choose Mouse? He had successfully taken the scroll Mizuki was supposed to give me for Orochimaru-sama, and he would have been valuable to Orochimaru-sama. And finally, what would Orochimaru do if you were killed while attempting to break into the Hokage's office to steal the scroll, only to die by Hiruzen's hand? He would not care, for I am expendable. Thank you, Dragon said. Just then the exterior to Naruto's living room blew up and Hikaru jumped in, Deidara close behind. As the dust settled, the pair looked ready for battle of epic proportions. Nobody hurts our teammate. They shouted in unison. Spotting Kabuto bound Hikaru instinctively jookens his heart. No, normal gentle fist would have blocked points leading to the vital organ, killing them over minutes. Hikaru didn't employ the normal way, instead pulsing enough to explode the heart instantly. Ha! Take that, bastard, Deidara cheered. Now let's blow him up for art, Akam, Dragon's voice broke them out of their celebration. Let me remind you, this is an apartment complex. Blowing the homes of your Anbu comrades sky high would not be wise. Dragon paused to let the message sink in before then cutting the traitor's head off. Turning to an amazed Naruto, the commander had an unseen smirk, well aware he had just looked awesome. What was that, Dragon-sama? You asked, Naruto sputtered, ignoring Hikaru and Deidara completely. And you'll never speak of this again, am I clear? Yes, Dragon-sama. The blonde said hesitantly, realizing once again how untouchable the enigma of a man really was. How do I attract these things? Next morning, but Captain, the dorms are fine, or even here. I can manage. No buts, Naruto. I want all of Ro to live nearby each other until this is over. Your apartment currently has holes from your chains, blood stains, and a blown-out wall. I won't accept another squad, as their schedule will be different than ours, meaning Hikaru's apartment is the only answer. Tenzo said sternly. 3 members of Ro and Angel were in the middle of Naruto's drafty living room, proving his captain's point. But what about your place? Or Yugao-senpai's? Naruto pleaded. My boyfriend wouldn't like you taking over his space, Yugao interjected. And my place is too full of plants. Hikaru's is fine, you'll only be there a week. Yes, Captain, Naruto relented, picking up his bag and scrolls dejectedly. As he left, Tenzo turned to Yugao. I know Hey-8 would have loved Naruto being over. But my sword shrine wouldn't. Hikaru's apartment, welcome, Chibi Kohai, to the best bachelor/bachelorette pad in Anbu. Hikaru declared grandly, his white eyes twinkling. Deidara threw a kunai at his roommate. Hey! I'm male, Che, embrace the really you, Hikaru replied. He turned to a silent Naruto and Angel. Now, Chibi Kohai, Angel and you can share my room. This got a reaction. Hell no, senpai. Your roach farm is in your room. I can hardly step around in here. I'll share with Deidara. Yeah, I hate roaches, Angel added. Still sore from her training with Hisoka, the Hellcat missed when she attempted to jump and scratched the Hyuga. Now, Chibi Kohai. It's improper for males and females to share beds unless on a mission or dating. Pyro Kohai needs her own space. For the last time, I'm manlier than you, Roach team. Tell him, fish cake, Deidara pointed a finger at Naruto, who just sweat dropped. Maybe you should just believe her, him, senpai, Naruto said, making Deidara drop his jaw, and Hikaru burst out laughing. Deidara tackled his roommate and they tumbled on the floor. Seconds later, Deidara had Hikaru in a headlock with his legs. Can a female use a leg headlock? I'm a freaking 14-year-old male. The older blonde screamed. Hikaru just gave a choked laugh. Even Chibi Kohai knows you're a female. This time a volley of kunai aimed at Naruto flew from Deidara's sleeve. However, they were caught by blue chakra chains. Mwahaha. Now petty attacks can't touch me. Naruto cackled. Before he would have had to dodge or take the kunai like a shinobi, but no longer. Oh, I think I am perfectly capable of bypassing those strings of twine, a dark voice chuckled. Naruto gulped, as did his still-locked roommates, and turned around to see their commander there. D-Dragon-sama, when did you get there? Naruto asked. Oh, long enough. Now bring your chains and Angel to our training ground, I need to beat some competence into you with them. Without waiting for a reply, the man was off, leaving a relieved room of shinobi behind. Training grounds hours later, back handing off the grass, Naruto vaulted 10 feet back, Angel close on his heels. Now, he signed and Angel blew out a large ball of flames. Wind style, great breakthrough, the combo stopped the advance of their opponent. Dragon used a shunshin and backhanded Naruto into the air. Or not. Dragon was apparently able to shunshin through fire. The young Anbu activated his chains, but they flailed uselessly in the wind against Dragon. Bruises arose as the chains were unable to block. Think, Mouse, Dragon lectured once Naruto was on the ground under his foot. I've told you to use the chains as a solid barrier, not individual snakes. I'm trying, but I can't just do it, okay? When will I get my mother's notebook over it? Naruto asked, knowing from Kurama that Kushina had been writing all her knowledge down. The Biju was silent on how the chains worked, however, acting much like he did before Naruto faced his darkness. When the elders and Hokage approve of it. My crow is currently in the meeting to listen in. They're discussing how much to let you see at once, as the notes are in your inheritance to be given at 16. But, given the circumstances, you'll be given access to at least the journal before then. Wait, this is the second time you've mentioned a crow, and the first one was watching me. Dragon-sama, how often does your crow observe me? Naruto asked, creeped out by the thought of an ever-present spy. You're not any different than the other Anbu, you know, I keep watch over all of my men. That's creepy. Naruto deadpanned. Dragon chuckled in what could be described as nervousness. So, what are you going to give me to keep quiet? The promise of letting you live past the hour? Nope, not good enough. How about another story about Shisui Uchiha? There was one mission he killed 10 enemy shinobi with a spoon, you know. And this was before his shunshin was at its peak. Naruto was instantly entrapped, soon engrossed by Dragon's masterful weaving of the legends past. Meanwhile, Dragon was patting himself on the back. Sure, it was really only 4 shinobi and they had been injured by Itachi, but those were minor details. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. If you want early updates, check out Patreon. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.